Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Sophia, my best friend. We just had a little random splurge in the middle of the night. It's not the middle of the night, it's like 10 PM. But we just had a little thought of making a podcast and I was like, let's do a video and see how it goes. Just chatting about random shit.
Yeah.
And then, if it goes well, let us know if you want to see a little podcast, because we would totally do that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
We talk so much shit, it would be funny to film it.
Yeah. We did get some questions, but there wasn't the most intellectual.
No, we got 2 questions, to be fair, it was up for like 10 minutes, but...
Yeah. The first one, I always go for a nice little Nutella and sugar.
Oh, nice one. I'm always a lemon and sugar kind of gal. Kind of
See,
gal.
that's too sour for me.
You what, with the sugar on there?
Yeah, too sour. I'm like...
Fuck that shit. What was the other question? Milk before cereal, cereal before milk, cereal before milk. What the fuck are you doing?
If it's the other way, you are pretty much on the sex offenders register.
Or autistic. Not you laughing about the autism. The fiance is not autistic.
Shut up! Like, imagine that being the diagnostic tool. Like,
literally.
Make a bowl of cereal.
Literally, you're autistic. Pop characters. You have been tested for the spectrum, my queen. This is Penny, my new cat.
Penny Pizzazz.
Penny Pizzazz, Penether. So, talking serious topics, like actually getting into this, we're just basically going to have a chat on camera.
Yeah.
We are both musicians. We're also both chronically unwell, with different conditions, completely different conditions.
Yeah.
So, with music, we, again, are on like quite different ends of the music spectrum at the moment, because we both do gigs, we both do performances, things like that.
Yeah.
Probably have both faced different things within the music industry,
Yeah.
with me doing original songs and you doing covers.
Yeah.
Very different things.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what you kind of deal with in terms of being a cover artist at the moment?
Yeah.
What things you face and what difficulties you face being a cover artist?
I think the biggest thing is trying to get the right covers for the right vibe.
Yeah.
Because not everyone wants to hear heavier songs. Like,
100%.
For when I did the Tunbridge Wells Fringe Festival, a lot of them are like diners or like bars, like people that are eating and drinking.
Yeah.
They're not really wanting really heavy. They kind of want more like
Calm
slower
music.
You know, you're digesting your food. You don't want
Exactly.
something very like, which is, there's a band that I'm thinking of that also used to do covers and does a few originals of like very heavy, but did the same gigs as me.
Yeah.
And they got kicked out of a few of the same venues that I did because they
I
were so
remember
heavy.
saying. Yeah.
It's there's more like the ability when people go wanting to like listen to the music and want to listen to like, they're going there for a gig experience where I think you're more entertainment at like the fringe gigs.
Yeah, 100%.
You're not as much like
doing a gig for a sole reason of a gig.
Yeah, you're kind of there as like background music and obviously people clap and like
Yeah.
oftentimes like tip and stuff, which is really nice, but like I've always found I do a lot more of the slower songs
For those gigs. Yeah,
I
me
would never
too.
consider doing like the songs that I showed you earlier that I'm going to put on my set list for my coming gigs, like at a smaller gig like at the Fringe Festival, which I do love the Fringe Festival.
Yeah.
Although I'm not doing it this year.
Yeah, me either.
We could discuss that actually.
Yeah, for reasons we're not doing that kind of festival again.
But another difficulty is that it's hard to get bigger gigs without originals.
Yeah.
Like, I've had so many people, I've had a manager approach me, I've had loads of promotion companies, which is even more what I want more than a manager. It's like someone, because I'm not going to obviously say, but there's a band, local band that me and you both know. The only reason they're getting so many gigs and they're getting this fucking popularity is because they've got this promotion company.
Yeah.
Like, I literally had one the other day that literally said, like, when, like, please let us be your first, like, performance of your originals.
Yeah.
In one of our, like, venues.
And that's, like, based on not even you going to them and saying, like, I will be doing originals. I'm in the process of writing them. It's literally, like, no, until you've got originals, like...
Yeah.
And you're, like, we were talking about this earlier, like, difficulties of writing songs and things.
Yeah.
And I think, like, you obviously love music and you love doing covers and, like, that's your thing right now. And it probably pushes you to a place of feeling pressure that you've got to, like, go a completely different direction in terms of, like, writing music and things, which, for me, that's where I started with music, was, like, obviously I did, like, a few covers and stuff, but within, like, 3-4 months of having, like, an instrument and learning it, I was instantly going into wanting to write originals, and people just go down different paths in that sense. Some people just enjoy singing for singing and performing, and some people use it as an expression, and it's like, it's completely different things.
But see, the weird thing is I feel like I pick songs that really reflect who I am and what I am feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And definitely on the gig day, I will literally the night before, like, hand pick
what
songs.
You're doing.
Like, so I feel like in a way, it's hard to, like, obviously in my brain I know they're, like, not my originals, but it feels like what I want to say.
And I feel like with me doing, like, original music, like, that also comes with challenges of, like, judgment from people as well. I feel very, like, I work with a band and I also work solo. Like, I do some gigs on my own, I do some gigs with my band. Any opportunity where I can have my band with me, I'll take it. And that's for two reasons. One, when I was doing solo music, which I did for the first, like, 4 years of performing, I felt like it wasn't creating the sound I wanted to create. Like, the way that I write music is, like, the music itself gives you a feeling, and then the lyrics give you the emotion. Like, that's literally how I try and write. You know when you're, like, in a gig and you feel, like, the music through you, and it gives you, like, a feeling, then you've got the lyrics, and they're giving you the emotion, and you're, like, listening, like, that's what I want to do at a gig. And obviously that also depends on the crowd, but I found, like, performing with my band has emerged my sound in the exact way that I always imagined it to be and hoped it would be.
Yeah.
Whereas doing it solo is a lot more intimate, and also more nerve-wracking in a way. Like, it just is.
See, I've always thought the opposite.
Really?
I hate is a strong word, but I felt very uncomfortable doing, like, performing with other people when I was at college because I've always thought they were so much better than me and I didn't want to let them down.
No, I get you. I feel like I don't maybe feel that because obviously all the songs that we play I've written. Yeah. So it's like I wrote the songs and I'm hearing them come to life. So for me it's like a very, like, positive experience. And, like, my band is so talented, but, like, we work well together. Like, I don't undermine myself because I think of us as, like, one collective on stage rather than, like, comparing myself to what they're doing. Because we're all doing completely different things. Yeah. Like, I'm obviously doing vocals and I usually play my baritone. And then, you know, guitarist, bassist, drummer, we're all doing different roles. We're all completely, like, none of us doing the same as the other. Not at all. I've had people before, like, especially when I was performing solo and it was, like, a lower sound, I had people come up to me and say, why don't you play guitar instead of baritone ukulele? Or, you know, I've had people call my songs depressing. I've had, like, all sorts of things like that. And it's like, you know, it pushes you to advance and, like, to, you know, branch out more into different worlds. But I think that was also partly because of pressure. Yeah. Feeling like what I was doing wasn't good, wasn't enough. I feel like the difference between performing with a band and performing solo as well is, like, performing solo, like I said, is very intimate. Like, it's a very slow-paced thing. Maybe if I was doing, like, the Fringe Festival, solo would probably be better because it's more slow-paced, it's more gentle. Yeah. Whereas with my band, it's like it's very much a gig. Like, it's we'll go all out, we'll party on stage, you know, we'll have a massive vibe and we want a good crowd who are, like, really into it. I've always found, and I'm sure you can agree, which we can get onto with the Fringe Fest, that it's about the crowd and the energy from the crowd.
100%, 8 billion.
Yeah, not even, like, the size of the crowd, the energy of the crowd.
You could have 20 people that are going fucking crazy, or 100 that are sitting down
silently.
Yeah.
This is the thing, and obviously this is the thing with gigs as well, you'll go to so many different vibes, you never really know the vibe of the venue till you get there. Yeah. Unless you've been there to see other gigs. And, like...
Or performed there before.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're going, like, with the Fringe Fest, so for anyone who doesn't know, Fringe Fest is like a Tunbridge Wells festival, and it's basically loads of different venues, they've all got gigs going on at the same time, it goes over the course of, like, a week, 2 weeks? Something like that. And there's gigs on every day at all of these venues, and it's different artists, and we just tour around all the different venues, and that's basically the idea of it being a fringe festival. Basically, what I found, and what I think we spoke about as well, and obviously you can go into this as much as you want to as well, was with the Fringe Fest, where it is so many gigs going on, so many artists playing in different places all at the same time, the crowds are minimal in most places. Yeah. And there was a lot of gigs that we'd turn up to, and, like, there was a couple we played together, and it was literally the only people there were people that we knew. Yeah. Like, family members that had come and stuff. Yeah. And then the people who were, you know, holding the gig. And there's something about that, like, obviously families, supportive, whatever, and, you know, they like to see us perform, but it's not the energy that you want at a gig. You don't want it to just be solely people you know who have heard it all before. Yeah. And, you know, they're not about to get up dancing around, they're just, you know, taking it in and being supportive. I've done gigs before where there's been quite a lot of people and it's been absolutely dead. No one's been dancing, no one's been enjoying it, you know, everyone's just, not even not enjoying it, but just everyone's in their own world.
Yeah.
But I've done gigs where there's been like 5 people in the crowd who are going mental, jumping around, dancing, singing along if it's covers. That's what makes a gig. That is literally what makes a gig good. It's got to be good energy from the crowd and, you know, enthusiasm from the crowd.
And I also feel like one thing that is a big contributor of why I'm not going to perform at the Fringe Festival this year is that the first time I did it, I didn't have to pay to perform.
Yes.
The second time, I had to pay like £15 to perform, to sign up. And bear in mind, you're selling tickets for like £2. So and also the travel to get up there, like, we don't just live in Tunbridge Wells.
No. Neither of us do now.
No, I'm quite far from it.
Yeah.
You're pretty far from it too.
Yeah.
And I looked this year, because they reached out to me to sign up. They actually sent me an email.
Yeah, I got the same one.
To sign up, and it was like 20 quid to play this year.
Yeah. Oh my god, so they're putting it up by the year. And this is something that, like, I really, really, really don't believe in with musicians.
I'm not a pay-to-play musician. No. I can get gigs outside of that. Yeah, you have to spend money to get there, you have to spend money to get your equipment there, because they don't always have the equipment. They did a lot better last year.
Yeah.
They had, like, equipment there waiting for you, but some I still had to bring my equipment from home.
Yeah. Which
I had to, because, you know, I don't drive.
You have to set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's... I mean, I'd still think it's good for any starting musicians.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we've both kind of surpassed it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, we've done a lot of gigs. Both of us have done a lot of gigs. You've studied music.
Yeah, 2 years.
So you've got a literal degree in it.
3 years.
Or qualification in it.
Yeah, degree.
A degree. Yeah, there you go. So, and I've always felt, even since I was like a smaller, not like a big artist now, but a smaller, like, starting off artist when I was younger, like, I got gigs without having to pay for them. And I don't at all believe in pay to play, even when you're starting out. I don't believe that that's a good scheme. I understand with something like the Fringe Festival, you know, it's kind of donations to them to help them run it. And I understand that they're obviously still kind of starting out, even though they're a few years in. But they get plenty of people come to the gigs. And I think, honestly, that it would be a better way of doing it. I think it's a more fair way of doing it. To say, for instance, if you're playing at a venue, you know, we'll take a percentage of the tickets. I think that is more fair than saying you have to pay to play, and then if you don't bring people in, you've basically lost money.
And it's not just, I've had a few different experiences with promotion companies. They don't, like, you'll get a gig and then it'll get closer and closer to the gig and they haven't posted you, they haven't let people know. And then they're talking to you like, gig sales. Like, okay, but you're the one with, like, the thousands and thousands of followers. Yeah,
and this was something we experienced when I did a headline show at a venue a little while ago, and I got an email, like, the night before the gig. We'd been promoting it, like, I had, like, 5 artists on the lineup, including myself, and we were all promoting it.
I did that one as well, didn't I?
Yeah, you did it. And we were all posting, we were all promoting, we were pushing the tickets, we were selling tickets, but we weren't selling a lot, because obviously we're all fairly low exposure. Like, we're all fairly small artists. And so, you know, we pushed it as much as we could, but you need that help from the venue when you're starting out. You just do, because people don't discover you otherwise. Like, if you're only sharing to your platform, and I don't know about you, but, like, a lot of my followers as well they're not local. Like, I've got followers from, like, America, New Zealand, like, Australia, like, you know, not everyone is close, and even if they live in the UK, like, the UK's a big place, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you need people who are in the area to know about it, and that's the venue's job, because people who follow the venue, no doubt, are close to the venue.
Sometimes they're younger, can't go to a gig by themselves. Like,
exactly.
There's so many, like, people see, like, a number of followers you have and think that will equate
to how many people will come.
Yeah, but it's like...
Yeah.
Not really.
No, and it's the same, like, what I was going to say with that specific gig. Like, it wasn't even just that they didn't promote it. Not only did the venue not promote it once, they didn't post it once, but then the night before the gig went ahead, because we hadn't sold a lot of tickets, they emailed me a really, like, petty, snarky email being like, ticket sales aren't looking good, kind of thing. And it's like... But you've not helped us with this. You've not helped us to get there. You've not helped us to promote it or for people to know about it. And I think that the event that we did was quite a, what's the word? Like, appealing event. Like, it was a full women lineup, and it was inclusive event. Yeah, we had, like, wristbands for pronouns, things like that. It was a very safe community event. It was a daytime event, which a lot of people can't make evening events, so it was a weekend daytime event. Like, there was a lot of appealing things.
Yeah, you couldn't make it more accessible.
Absolutely, and it was a very accessible gig, and yet no one really knew about it. And I just think that really sucks, and
because
it's not fair.
Especially the venue that it was is a very well-known...
popular venue.
Especially in the local community, but even I mentioned the venue to someone the other day. She knew about it.
Yeah, this is the thing, and like,
so
I don't think
if they would have posted about it, she says she follows them.
Yeah, literally, I can't think of a single person, especially musically, who's like musically goes to a lot of gigs or is a musician, who I've said about the venue to and they've not known what it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I knew about it even before I was doing music.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I think that's a big struggle with musicians, and I really, really don't believe in pay to play. I don't think that any musician, whether you're small, big, in between, should be having to pay to perform for them and do something for the venue. It's not just for us.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard work. Like, I don't think people realise how hard musicians actually work to get our gigs, to, you know, do the whole setup. There is gigs I've done as well where you have to set yourself up, you have to have your own setup. Yeah. You know, that's obviously money.
And you have to warm up in the morning.
Yeah.
You have the full, like, I mean, I know myself, before I do a gig, I'm doing a fucking 12-hour before, like, getting a good night's sleep, hydrating loads the night before.
Me too.
Waking up, hydrating, doing a vocal steam.
Yeah. Even if it's half an hour, the prep that goes into it is longer than the performance.
Yeah. And 100% every time.
I think, as well, like, especially for us, and obviously not every musician can relate to this, but it kind of goes into the other topics that we wanted to talk about, is like, we're both chronically ill.
Yeah.
We're both disabled musicians. We have our own struggles, and obviously we've got completely different disabilities. Just to mention what we've got, I've got suspected POTS and suspected ILLESS syndrome, which are both being investigated. I can't say for sure it's that, but that is very highly likely from what it's looking like.
Yeah.
And you've got...
diagnosed Crohn's and a colostomy bag. And, a lot of people don't know, with Crohn's also comes, like, very extreme fatigue. Mm-hmm. Like, very, like...
Same with my conditions.
Very extreme, like... I went to, just during a flare-up a couple of weeks ago, and this was after I had the medicine at the hospital. Mm-hmm. So that you should be at the best peak of your performance of your body, right? Because you've had...
the medicine to help.
About a week after that, I fell asleep about 9 on the sofa. Ellis took me into bed, and then I woke up at 1 p.m. the next day.
Literally.
And guess what? Still tired.
Yeah, that's what I was like last night.
Still could barely keep myself awake.
I went to sleep last night at, I think it was about 11:30. I woke up at 11:30 today, so 12 hours later. I woke up like once in between that to feed the cats, and I went straight back to sleep afterwards. Literally was up for like 10 minutes. I still felt like I could sleep for another, like, 6 hours after I woke up. Like, it was extreme.
Me and my partner went to Spoons, and I was on my phone just, like, whilst I was bringing the food. I fell asleep at the fucking table.
Yeah.
Because that's just, your body just goes, no.
Not gonna happen. No, this is the thing. And it's literally, like, I don't think, like, just, like, to kind of close off the musician topic as well, that, like, people realise... like, how much prep goes into a gig anyway, but how much more prep goes into it when you've got an illness.
Yeah.
Like, to keep... Obviously, we were talking about this earlier, because Sophia's just started making some chronic illness content. And your kind of goal with content, you've said to me, is, like, to show what chronic illness is like, what it's like to live with it, but also that you can have a life besides it. You don't have to, you know, have your whole life revolve around it. And I'm very much learning that, because you've had your condition how long?
Since birth.
Since birth. And you've had your bag for...
8 years?
8 years.
8, 9 years?
Yeah. And...
I had, longer now. I had it when my little brother Jack was born, so about 11 years.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and, like, obviously, like, I'm guessing, obviously, I didn't know you back then. Took you a while to adjust to it.
Oh, of course.
Learn how to... Like, it's learning how to manage it. Like, coming to terms with, this is forever. How do I manage this?
Yeah.
How do I have the life that I want alongside this illness?
Yeah.
And I think, for me, like, I wasn't born with a chronic illness. Well... we didn't think, but me and my mum have now started realising a lot of my anxiety symptoms from, like, age 4 were actually symptoms of things I have now. I think I possibly was born with at least one of the conditions. I think ILLESS maybe I was born with, because that is a genetic condition. I would have been born with it. I wouldn't have developed it later in life.
Yeah.
And I've gone through the test for it and everything, and, like, it's a whole process, but It's very much, it's basically been said, you've got it, we don't know what type. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with my diagnosis of that. But with POTS, which tends to be the condition that I would say affects me more with dizziness and stuff, that only developed 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was literally like, one day I was absolutely fine. Excuse me? One day I was absolutely fine. Next day I woke up, I couldn't even stand up to shower. Yeah. Like, it was that quick. And it's because the condition of POTS, which again, not diagnosed, but, you know, with specialists in the process of diagnosing it, with POTS, it's a, like, nervous system dysregulation that causes it to develop. So it's obviously come from my nervous system being dysregulated.
Yeah.
And for a long period of time, and it literally was that simple. Like, I just woke up and was like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what's going on, I don't know why I feel like this, thought I maybe had the flu or something, didn't go away. A week later I went to hospital, they told me it was anxiety dizziness, they saw my heart rate was really high, they saw that my heart had heart palpitations on the ECG. Yeah. You know, I was complaining of all my symptoms and everything. They literally put it down to anxiety. They said, you've got palpitations, it's anxiety.
Yeah.
And I was put on an anti-anxiety med. I'm still on it now.
Which is what I think was when we met, was what you said to me. Mm-hmm. It was.
Yeah, so the medication I was put on was anti-anxiety and anti-dizziness, anti-sickness. It's basically everything in one. And I take 3 to 4 of those a day. But when I was put on that, like, it didn't help my dizziness. First of all, it didn't fix it, because it's not anything that slows your heart rate, which we now know is the problem. That has been said, that it's tachycardia that's causing it. So I basically just went about my life for like 2 years thinking, it's anxiety. That's what this is. That's why I feel the way I do. Yeah. And it wasn't until last year that I like saw something about POTS, and I was like, why is that so familiar? And it wasn't until I looked into it, I saw a lot of people had been misdiagnosed with anxiety, dizziness. Went back to the doctors 1 year later, I'm still in the process of even getting a diagnosis. Yeah. But I understand it more now, and I use, even though I'm not diagnosed, I use POTS managing symptoms mechanisms to deal with my symptoms, and it does help. Like,
well, that should be a lot of proof there.
Yeah, exactly. So do you want to talk a little bit about what it's like living with your specific condition for people who don't know what Crohn's is?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think where to start. Alright, so Crohn's is basically ulcers. Like, you know when you get like a mouth ulcer and then anything like you drink or eat past it really burns? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it can bleed and be horrible like that. Mm-hmm. It's basically like your entire stomach, or parts of your stomach along your digestive tract, is just filled with them. Where it's inside, it's like not got the chance to, like, when you have a mouth ulcer, it kind of does grow a little bit of like a protection skin over it, but it's like, imagine an ulcer without that. Yeah. That's basically what your whole stomach's lined of. So anything you eat, drink, or not drink, but eat, just creates just very, very bad stomach ache. A lot of other symptoms, chronic fatigue, weight loss, and it often does lead to having a colostomy bag, which in my case it did. But a typical day in having a colostomy bag and Crohn's, because they often go together. You wake up fucking dead tired, you feel like you haven't slept. You know when you like don't sleep all night and then you kind of feel like you're in like a dream, hazy. Yeah, it's that
all the time.
Yeah. Anything you try and eat just feels like your stomach is on fire. Like, genuinely, like, you know when you like accidentally put your hand on something really hot, but like imagine you can't like take your hand off. Like, it's like someone like holding your hand on like a burning stove.
Yeah, but in your stomach.
Yeah. And then afterwards, obviously, like going to the toilet or anything like that is really painful. Can make you feel really sick because of how quick it is, especially with a colostomy bag. Because it takes less time
to empty.
Yeah, because it's a different part of your bowel. So it's shorter. It, like very, very quick, can make you feel very, very nauseous. And then you obviously have the colostomy bag side of it, which is like it can leak anytime. Yeah. It can be noisy, which can be embarrassing. It can... In the summer, it's a nightmare because the stickiness will just be like, no, and just fall off, and you're like, great. Yeah. Love that. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things about it that's just very hard. Like, the medicines, like, you're constantly checking everything 100 times.
Yeah, it's okay.
Like, before you leave somewhere, you're like, okay, do I have painkiller? Have I taken my medication? Do I have bags on me? Do I have, you know...
everything I need.
Yeah, and it comes with a lot of anxiety of, like, you know, carrying sprays with you, carrying lots of different things to make sure that you're like, okay, you're very aware of yourself. Mm-hmm. You're very aware of your body, and
I think that's again, like, with a lot of chronic illness as well, because I definitely experienced some of that too.
Yeah.
Of, like, that very over-aware of your body at all times and what you're feeling and what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
You can't click out of it to be present.
A big thing also with Crohn's is joint pain. Mm-hmm. Especially when it's coming up to my medicine, it feels like I can feel every, like, joint in my body, like, aching, like, like, the fingers, where the fingers joint ache, like, shoulders, and especially my back. My back is very in pain a lot of the time. You think of Crohn's, you just think, oh, well, you get a bit of an upset stomach. It's like, no.
Yeah.
It's so much more than that, and it's like day in, day out. Like, you can have not eaten since like 5. You go to bed at like 11, wake up in the middle of the night, and you've bag leaked everywhere.
Yeah.
But no reason. It's not like you've eaten something before bed and then it's just done. Like, just for no reason, you can try as much as you can to avoid that happening, and it still does.
Mm-hmm. What kind of ways, like, summed up, do you manage your symptoms and you manage your chronic illness day to day? What tips do you have for people who might be experiencing the same thing?
Take your meds. Painkiller. Keeping a diary of everything to kind of track your symptoms, and so you can see when they get bad or worse. If there's a specific time they get bad or worse. If there's a specific anything you eat gets worse. Just being very vigilant. Making sure before you go to bed. I mean, I always change my bag before I go to bed, even if it's not, just to make sure it's fresh and stuck on and everything's alright. And just resting when you need to, not being scared to ask for help. Because I'm someone that, because I've dealt with it my whole life, I really just want to, like, just do everything. Just like, I'll clean the flat, I'll cook dinner, I'll do this. And it takes someone literally going, no.
Yeah, don't do it.
Because I'll just go until I burn out, because I've got such a tiny space of time that I feel moderately okay.
Yep.
That I have to feel like I have to cram everything in, and then I feel worse for doing that, and then I feel annoyed that I have to
feel worse for doing it.
Yeah, it's like, and especially when you know, like, something needs to be done, but you know you're going to feel shit after it. Like, I know I need to hoover, or I know I need to mop, but I know that I'm going to regret it after. Or I know I need to eat.
Yeah.
I know I need to eat.
Yeah, but it's going to be hard. And I think I feel a lot of that as well with my illness as well. Like, I definitely think with my symptoms, I very much feel that same thing of, like, you know, if I'm going out and about, or, like, if I've got plans, or if I need to clean the flat, you know, and very much with the thing of, like, needing to eat as well, because I feel obviously sick every time that I eat as well. And as an emetophobe, not fun. You know, I always have to have my meds, like, right in front of me with my meal. Even if I'm at a restaurant, I'll have my meds literally next to me on the table. Like, it's got to be there so that I'm within reach of them, because I find when I get that nausea that I get, I literally can't move. Like, I'm literally, like, in one spot. Even turning my head is, like, too much. Yeah. And I find, like, it's that frustration of, like, I know this needs to be done. I know I need to eat. I know I need to do this.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to feel shit for it. Like, you know, and it's one of those things as well, because you get so used to it that it's not something you can complain about. It's not like when you have a normal illness and you can be like, it's going to be so shit, like, because it's all you talk about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like you probably feel the same in that sense of, like,
oh yeah,
you feel like you almost can't complain when you're in pain, because you're like, it's fucking normal though. Like,
yeah.
No one wants to hear it.
No, if I said every time I was in pain, it'd be, I mean, constantly.
Yeah, exactly.
There's constantly something going on.
Yeah. And just to explain, like, a little bit of, like, my symptoms as well, my phone is running out of charge quickly. We've been filming for 40 minutes. But with, obviously, again, not diagnosed with either of these conditions yet, just in the process. But with POTS, it stands for postural tachycardia syndrome. So with that, you get chronic dizziness, you get basically chronic nausea, or at least I do. Everyone's symptoms are very different with POTS. But dizziness is the main symptom, which is caused, tachycardia means, like, for your heart rate to be way too high all the time, basically. And it means that going from sitting to standing basically uses 10 times more energy than anyone else. You feel like you're doing your hardest workout when you're literally just going from sitting to standing. And that's kind of just a quick summary of it. There's a lot of other symptoms included as well. I get tremors, which I think I'll probably link to that because I've only had them since I was chronically ill. But yeah, it's that dizziness and nausea that's the main things that affect me kind of day to day.
Yeah.
And with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I am pretty sure, because I've already been diagnosed hypermobile, that I have the hypermobility type of Ehlers-Danlos. I have, like, my hip constantly goes out of place really intensely. The orthopaedic doctor I'm with literally said one of the worst things he's seen the entire time in the 10 years that he's been working as an orthopaedic doctor. It will just spring out of place and crack really fucking loudly, as you've seen. Yeah. I have a lot of, like, dislocations in my arms, my shoulders, my jaw, my hands, like, my wrists, all of, like, your kind of wrists, your knees, your kind of, like, weaker areas. I often get cracks, dislocations, things like that. And it's just kind of, like, having really flexible skin that breaks really easily, so you get a lot of cuts, bruises, things like that. I also have that kind of chronic fatigue aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, the difficulties for me is, like, trying to maintain a normal life, really, is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
With that dizziness, especially now that I live alone, like, trying to do things for myself. You know, I know that when I need to eat, I need to get up and cook.
Yeah.
And things like that can be really hard especially when I'm having a bad day if my blood pressure is really low. Standing can be dangerous because I've got to be careful of not passing out, things like that. Drinking a lot of fucking water all the time.
Yeah.
I'm also in chronic pain with my joints, very often in pain with my hip. I'm constantly in pain with something.
Yeah.
There's always an area of my body that's just hurting.
Yeah, literally.
Always something. So yeah, that comes with kind of having those hypermobile joints as well. But yeah, I think just maintaining a normal life, trying to be sociable, trying to, I guess, adjust to it, like something I definitely deal with, again, I'm sure you do as well as a chronic ill person, is like trying to act like a normal person.
Yeah,
and
while feeling so abnormal.
Yeah, while feeling so out of place and so unwell and knowing that no one else around you really feels the way you do. Which is why we're probably so close as well, one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Because we just understand what it's like. Neither of us are judgmental if one of us is having a bad day or we're in front of each other when we're having a flare-up or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because we just know that the other person gets it. We'll just help each other as much as we can. But I just find, I think the ways I manage it, really, obviously I'm on medication for the sickness side of it and technically for the dizziness side, but it doesn't help with that. Obviously I've not been diagnosed yet, so I'm not open to getting medicine or treatments for it yet directly, but drinking a lot of water. I've just ordered powdered electrolytes as well to put in my water because that's apparently helpful. I try and eat first thing in the morning to give myself some energy, try and get enough rest, try and get good rest, like go to bed at a reasonable time and stuff, and just I think generally trying to have like
a
healthy lifestyle, yeah, like, but also like things like having easy meals. Like tonight we had a really nice meal for dinner that I cooked, but it was literally just a packet of rice that I put in the microwave, chicken fillets that went in the oven, like that simple, and some veg that I just rinsed and put in. Like I try and have things that are healthy but like also easy and accessible for me, so I'm not standing there cooking a from scratch meal every night. That's just way too much because I just couldn't. I need things that just get chucked in the oven on a bad day. So things like that. I also use a wheelchair when I'm out and about when I need to, which generally I really should be using it every time, but I do try and push through sometimes if I'm with someone who can watch me and make sure that I'm safe, basically. I don't feel any embarrassment, I guess, about having to use aids. They're there for a reason.
Yeah.
So if you are in chronic pain or dizzy or anything like that and an aid is going to give you some freedom to get your life back, that's what I had to do, and I recommend it. It has helped me. It meant I could go on holiday, things like that, when I was really at my peak and not able to do anything. But yeah.
I also feel like it's good to know that you don't always have to like be defined by what you go through. You can have life milestones that other people do. Like when I was younger and going through this shit, I never thought I would have a partner. I never thought I'd live independently.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd
have a life, really.
Yeah, be out of the hospital long enough. Like, I never even learned how to ride a bike when I was younger because I just wasn't out of the hospital long enough to pick it up. I didn't know how to swim till I was 11.
Yeah.
I didn't swim without armbands until I was 11.
No, I get
because
you.
I just wasn't having these experiences. I have more of a handle on it, I think, as much as one can have a handle on a chronic illness. Obviously, there are days when it fucking whoops my ass and I'm like, oh, I thought I thought I was handling it better, but I also do feel like that is it humbling you of being like, oh, I'm going to throw this little curveball.
Absolutely. And it's like, it's inevitable with chronic illness that you're going to flare up.
Yeah.
Inevitable. You're going to have days that you feel like the world is ending around you and you have no way of like controlling it. And I think the hardest part for me of having a chronic illness is the lack of being able to trust my own body.
Yeah.
Like, literally not being able to trust my own body, not knowing what it's going to do, when it's going to do it.
Feel like your body's failing.
Literally feeling like it's failing. And I just think that is really the thing with chronic illnesses, is learning to get a handle on it. You know, and especially because sometimes your symptoms can, I don't know if you've found this as well, I definitely have with me, I go through periods where my symptoms just worsen, like, randomly, and then they just stay worse. And, like, I had this, like, literally this week where my nausea in the mornings worsened a lot, and I was literally unable to get out of bed for a couple of days, and I thought it was just a flare-up, and then I realised it was actually worsening, and that it wasn't getting better, because my flare-ups don't usually last as long as this was. Yeah. And I've had to spend the last, like, 3 days implementing new ways just to get out of bed. Yeah. Like, and you have to be prepared for that, but also... You
have to be adaptable.
Yeah, you have to be adaptable. And I guess the accepting that it's there permanently is hard, but just kind of keep pushing and know that there are ways to manage your symptoms. There is help out there that can lead you to still have a normal life despite living with it. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know, as we would love to make a little podcast for you. Yeah. Maybe even put it up on Spotify and things, potentially. Yes. Or even just make more videos on here, but we could even have some, like, guests on at times. We could have people come and join us for it. It would be fun.
Follow us both as well, because we post content independently as well.
Yep, I will put both of our Instagrams in the description. Yeah. And TikToks as well. Yeah. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, let us know, and we can make more videos like this. Yeah. And also let us know in the comments what you'd like us to talk about. Yeah, please. What topics you would like, questions.
Clearly we can waffle.
We can bloody waffle. 50 minutes.
We didn't get any questions for this, really.
No, literally just talked. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.